Hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman Show. I am here with my beautiful friend and divine sister, Sia-Lanu Estrella, and she is a channel and author. And today we have such an exciting show for you today because we want to talk about this beautiful book that she's written and everything else that this wonderful lady does. And welcome, Sia-Lanu. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's just, yeah, it's beautiful to connect across the lands like this. So as you know, I'm in Peru, and to be able to talk in this way in real time is just absolutely beautiful.
It's absolutely amazing too. Obviously, you guys watching will tell from our accents. Well, mine maybe not so much these days. That we're both Aussie in this life, our roots. But obviously, we have kind of a similar story in that we've gone all over the planet doing our light work. But I want to just pass over to you, Sia-Lanu, just to tell our viewers a little bit about you and how you got started on this miraculous journey that we're on right now.
Yeah, gosh, where do you start? I think everyone feels the same. Where did it actually start? I would say, I've actually had quite a process lately of going back to the childhood of circling back and realizing actually how much I held as a child and how much remembering I came in with. And I think it's been the same for all of us. And many of us on some level have had a similar journey where, we've then come into the human experience. We've had the social conditioning, maybe expectations from parents, society, etc. And, that kind of, we forget and we sort of follow the path that is expected of us. So I guess for me, the huge shift was probably about 4 years ago. It's hard to pinpoint, a certain thing because every little piece has added to the journey, and there's been so many. But around 4 or 5 years ago now, I did a vision quest in the Flinders Ranges in South Australia. And that was incredible. I mean, we were out there on the land for 8 days. The vision quest itself was 3 days, but we were out there for 8 days. And it was just, it was that return to Mother Earth. I call her Pachamama because I'm living here in Peru. It was that return to just so much within. And since then, the journey hasn't really, it's just accelerated, really, And so for me, I always had a strong relationship with Peru, and I always knew I was meant to live here in Cusco. But because of those, those limitations and the conditioning, I would go back to Australia and I would say, right, that's it, I'm moving to Peru. And then I would basically let people talk me out of it. But I think also I didn't have the courage to do it, it meant giving up the career and all of the things that you think you're meant to have. And so eventually, about 3 years ago, the most sacred mountain here called me to run my first retreat here. And I remember for months saying, I don't do that. Why are you asking me? And it just didn't go away. It was such a strong call. So eventually I said yes. And I would say this has been the transforming thing in my life, to say yes, and that's kind of what the last 3 years has been. Once I brought the retreat here, the mountain told me I needed to move to Peru. And again, being headstrong and a little bit stubborn, for 4 days I argued and said, I can't, I've got a dog and I've just bought a car and all of these practical things. And by the end of it, I just said yes. And I went back home. I sold everything I owned or gave it away in the space of 3 months, moved to Peru with no plan, just a couple of, bags basically, and just got here and said, what now, And so, yeah, it's been an incredible journey. And even that very first day that I arrived in Peru, so we haven't mentioned the name of the book, but the name of the book is The Rainbow Tablets. So it's channelings from the Rainbow Race. And that I now know, obviously I'd had that connection, way into childhood, but the remembering as an adult came that first day I arrived in Peru. And I actually share this story in the introduction of the book, that I got here, and anyone who's traveled from Australia here knows it's an epic journey. You've usually got 3 flights, it's 30 plus hours. you're jet lagged, you arrive and it's high altitude. It's a mission. And I got here exhausted, arrived at my accommodation, and I felt Pachamama calling me up to the mountain, up to the Temple of the Moon. And I was just like, I can't, I can't, Pachamama, I'll come tomorrow. And she was like, no, you need to come today. So I had just a couple of hours rest, and then I took myself down to the market. I got, my flowers, my mapacho, Florida water, everything I needed for the offering. And I walked up there, and I mean, it maybe takes 30 minutes or so when you're adjusted to the altitude, but when you're fresh off a plane, it took, I think it took like an hour and a half. I was taking a break about every 3 steps. I felt like I was scaling Everest. And I went and I made my offering, and I grounded into this experience, to this new life that I was stepping into, that I had no idea what it was bringing, And when I opened my eyes, there was a rainbow right before me, and it was not like any other rainbow I'd ever seen. There was no rain or moisture in the air. It was a really clear, sunny day. It wasn't an arched rainbow. It was just a pillar of light. And Pachamama said to me, go into the rainbow. And I took it very literally, I kind of went, I can't, there's a gully there, like I was on the edge of the gully. I'm like,
run and throw myself.
Yeah, I can't scale down there. And she said again, go into the rainbow. And so I was like, okay, so maybe she means energetically. And so I connected on that energetic level, and something huge happened. And I didn't understand it at that time, because it was so out of the realm of anything I'd experienced. But for the first time, I actually saw the rainbow as pulsating consciousness, and I felt it as consciousness. And I saw what we don't normally see with the naked eye, that the colors were very much moving and pulsating. It wasn't kind of the pillars of color like we saw. And anyway, I had that moment, sometimes when you have a really magical experience, you have that moment of, and you kind of almost pull yourself out of it. And so I went home that night, and I just thought, something huge happened today, but I couldn't really process it. And the very next day, I needed to go to the supermarket, and I went down to the bus depot area, and I asked one of the policemen which bus I needed to catch. And he said to me, arco iris. And arco iris in Spanish is rainbow.
Rainbow.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And this bus pulls up with this rainbow on the front. So that was kind of the beginning of my journey. And it really took about 1.5 years for me to fully understand what had happened. But that's kind of, I guess for me, and what I would say to other people, is the thing that really has brought me onto my path and into my service like nothing else is saying yes.
Thank God you have. I mean, the level of courage. You're like my hero. It's like the courage it takes, especially when you're doing this level of work. I know it's not necessarily considered normal, that you can, talk to rainbows and channel beings like this. So tell us a little bit about the rainbow race themselves. What do they represent? Who are they?
Yeah, totally. So the rainbow race are actually our unified selves. They're us in our most whole and you can feel, I can see, you can feel the frequency. I just connected in with the frequency, and it's like, so they are us in our most whole and pure form. They live outside of time and space. So I guess to kind of give a summary, we are in an experiment. Yeah, we are in an experiment known as an experiment in separation. And it was just something that we all agreed to have an experience. Yeah. And so in our most whole and pure form, we are our rainbow unified selves. And the rainbow race, they live outside of time and space. They're in like an etheric light form. So
I was going to say, I see them as like, because I'm wondering if it's the same thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure it is. I see them like they're like plasma, aren't they? It's like plasma. Yes. very, very, very high consciousness level of consciousness. So if you're
Yeah.
channeling these guys, I mean, you're obviously operating at that very high level of consciousness. It sort of
Yeah.
even transcends the Elohim and the angelics, doesn't it? It's very high.
Yes. So they are all of that together, basically. So
Yeah.
they are the highest form of consciousness, because they are everything else together. So I guess to go back and talk a little bit about our cosmic history as it's been shared with me, is that in the beginning there was the all, and the all was everything. And then the all, of course, is divine love. It's the pure divine love essence. And then the all wanted to have an experience, so it broke apart into the rainbow race. So the rainbow race are infinite beings. There's no birth or death. There's no gender, because there's no duality. They are whole, and exactly as you've described. And then after time, it was desired for a greater depth of experience. So then the decision was made for each rainbow unified self to break apart into fragments, which we are one of those fragments. And we all know that we have what we would refer to as past lives, future lives, lives in other dimensions, higher selves. So we know that we are one fragment of many aspects of ourselves. And all of those many aspects are the fragments of our rainbow unified self. So for instance, the way that it was shown to me, which I love this visual because it makes it so easy to understand, is when you think of like taking a piece of paper and doing the little people cutout. The paper is like flat and the paper is whole. And that's how we are in our rainbow unified self. But when we pull that apart into the paper chain of people, that's what we're experiencing. We're experiencing one of those. So
I love that in the book. I remember seeing that picture in the book.
Exactly.
It's gorgeous. I love that you've put the hearts in between everyone.
Yeah, because that's what it is. And so, so we're having an experience in separation, and the purpose of this whole experiment was experience. We then went into a deeper layer of the experiment, where we agreed collectively across the cosmos to forget our rainbow frequency. So the rainbow frequency is, you might say, the God essence. I would say the all essence, because it is the wholeness. It's the all essence. And it is that divine love frequency. And so collectively, we chose to forget that, to enter into that experiment so that we could have that experience of remembering once more. And that's where we are now. We are now in the period known as the return to unification, where across the cosmos, we are all coming into this remembering that we are the divine love essence. We are the rainbow frequency. We are wholeness. Yeah. And so that's kind of, that's who I would say the rainbow race are. So they are our unified selves. So we, at this exact same time, we exist in this experience and this experiment of separation, but we also exist outside of time and space in our wholeness. And this is why we're seeing so many rainbows at the moment. I don't know if you've seen it, but like Facebook is like,
so many.
Oh, totally. Facebook is plastered with rainbows everywhere. And it's not just the actual physical rainbows. I mean, you've shown it to me where people are seeing like rainbow fractions of light reflected on their skin, on the walls, in glasses of water. It's just everywhere around us. And this is the remembering. This is our rainbow unified self reaching through time and space to bring us that frequency, to bring us that remembering, so that we can once more re-embody this wholeness, this divine love essence.
And we have to acknowledge as well, I think, on this chat with you, that it hasn't all been smooth sailing, has it? I mean, we're obviously, as we record this, we're going through the whole lockdown coronavirus thing, and it's known to me that you've been definitely put through, I guess, a few dark nights of the soul on the journey to this wholeness. So what would you say to people kind of going through that process now, because there's so many people really being faced with this stuff at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. And for me, just for people who don't know, here in Peru, we're probably in some of the strictest lockdown. I think I've lost count, maybe day 33 now.
Wow.
We're not allowed out unless you're buying food. or medical supplies, and we have allocated days for women and men, military everywhere. I mean, it's very strict here. So I would actually say for me, I've not had an easy journey. And I think most of us, and they talk about this in the channelings, that we came here as the star-seeded masters. We came here as beings who were further along in our remembering, further along in our embodiment. And it was decided at the cosmic level with the Galactic Federation and everything that Earth needed the greatest assistance right now, because there were certain things that had happened on Earth thousands of years ago, tampering and whatnot, that had shortened our DNA, that had cut us off from the higher realms, that had implanted, programs and illusions into our societies, which is what we're starting to see now really start to crumble. So we came in this great service, but we had to pass through the veil of amnesia, and we had to forget. And then we had to also be able to hold this incredibly high multidimensional frequency on a lower dimensional plane. So that's very challenging. It's why a lot of starseeds have felt, I don't belong here, and they've resisted that experience of embodiment. And that resistance can cause a lot of trauma and difficulty, because we're not fully present and grounded and accepting the experience. On top of that, a lot of us agreed to come into the programs to break them from the inside. So a lot of us came into certain ancestral things, maybe ancestral lines of psychological abuse, physical abuse, all sorts of different things that we agreed to step into that. So I would say I don't know anyone on this journey that's had a golden path, the yellow brick road, because it's not what we came here to do. And so what I would say to people, whether it's that they're finding those challenges and that real deep work coming up now because of the isolation, or whether it's been their journey, it's about seeing the beauty and the blessing in all of this experience. Yeah. So it takes courage, and we all have that courage inside us. And I work a lot with I'm going to say Liren. I know a lot of people say Lyran, but they say Liren through me, so I pronounce it that way. That lion frequency, yeah, which is bold, it is courageous, it is fearless. Yeah, and that's what we came to hold here. And that frequency is readily available to all of us. And so for me, I've gone to the depths of the work, because I know, again, I come back to saying, yes, I want to be in my highest service. I want this experience to be the most grand, beautiful, powerful experience it can be. And I've always, since I was a little girl, wanted to leave the world a better place, and do whatever I can. And I think when we connect in with that, it gives us a deeper layer of courage to say yes to whatever is asked of us, whatever we're needing to push through, whatever we're needing to heal, whatever we're needing to face within ourselves and integrate. Yes, I give myself in my highest service. And I feel that gives us this inherent courage to not only step into it, but to see the beauty in it. I mean, I've had times where I've literally been on my knees, broken apart, crying beyond the depths of grief that I ever knew were possible. And yet there's beauty in that. There's beauty in feeling. There's beauty in healing. And when we do this healing for ourselves, we don't just do it for ourselves. We do it for those before us and those to come, and we do it for the collective. So in Indigenous traditions, there's a belief that when we heal for ourselves, we heal for the 7 generations that came before us and the 7 generations to come. And I would say it's even bigger than that, because we are rippling it out, and we are, the more of us who, I guess, unplug from these old programs and these illusions, and we actually step into a higher way of being and embody more of this cosmic love, this cosmic remembering, we are literally changing the world. So I would say to everyone who is like feeling that now, because it's big, you know, you are not alone. You are not alone. You are surrounded by star brothers and sisters here on earth, walking alongside you, doing the work with you, but also above. They are just sending us so much love and assistance, divine assistance. And then Pachamama beneath us, just holding us, supporting us. You know, she's part of this journey as well, so much a part of it. So that's the first thing, is to know that you're not alone, because I know that's something that a lot of people have felt, and then being in isolation kind of brings that out more, and you're not alone. But beyond that, I would also say yes. Give yourself permission. Yeah. We didn't come here to be victims or to be held by this stuff. We came here to empower and liberate ourselves, and empower and liberate others. Yeah. And so when we say yes to the work, and we go through those depths, and we do all that is asked for us, there's a beauty and a remembering that we can't even imagine until we step into it. So just say yes, do it, honor yourself, trust yourself that you are strong enough, but also trust that you are so held in this experience. We are, oh my gosh, we are so supported and so held.
We have no idea, do we, how powerful we are? So good. It's just so good. I could sit here and just bathe in your energy all day. It's just the way you are at the moment, your vibration and everything is so stunning, honey. And I also want to say to our viewers, like, when you read this book, and this is the same of any channeled work, right? You know, it's so much more than the words you're reading. So much more is going on that subconscious level. You do kind of bathe in it in a way. It's the book is kind of healing you as you're reading it. There's so much that's going on in the background. And when you started putting it down on paper, I'm guessing you had to go through all that healing. You were kind of going through it, embodying it as you were bringing it through, right?
Yeah, definitely. And they talk about that in the book. They talk about sharing from a place of authenticity. So we share what we've embodied. You know, so my journey, I was it was 23 years ago that I first started doing healing work. I started doing that in my teens. But then, you know, like, took the scenic route, went off, had a corporate career, all of this, and sort of said, yeah, I'll do that on the side, and, you know, resisted and everything. And then when I started really stepping into my work, I started with what I had embodied. So I started with things like teaching meditation courses and doing sound healings and everything, you know, and I could not, you know, if I look 7 or 8 years ago, I could not have brought through this book, because I could not have held that frequency. It was something that I had to live into. And so, as I said, when I moved here to Peru, what I signed up for when I said yes to that, I never could have imagined, you know, and it was so accelerated. And that first year, I literally was just following what I was being asked to do. I mean, I was being told, you've got to go here, you've got to go there. I mean, I went to Egypt, I went to Mexico, I went to England, collecting codes, collecting activations, because
we've all followed each other around the planet, haven't we?
We did. There was so many of us, like, weaving like this, especially that year. Absolutely. And and then doing really deep work in myself. I went through a lot of DNA upgrades. I went through a lot of releasing. It really pushed me to the brink and beyond many times. And it was that going beyond. So by the time the book was ready to come through and that remembering was ready to come through, I remember the first time that I connected with the rainbow race, and it was beyond what you would imagine heaven to be. You know, it was just, I don't have words. There aren't words to describe it. Bliss, ecstasy, love, ultimate peace. I mean, they don't even come close, you know. And when I was told that they said to me, this was encoded in you, and this is what you agreed to bring to earth, and it felt really big. And I'm not going to lie, I freaked out. I was just like, oh, you got the wrong person, you know. And so I had to sort of let go of those limiting beliefs and again, say yes and step into it. And when I said yes, I had no idea what I was going to have to go through to embody it. But I did. And even as I was channeling it, there was a lot going on in my life at that time, a lot. And this is why, I actually, that all along they had said to me, this book needs to be available by the beginning of January 2020. They said 2020 is going to be the year it all shifts. And it's the gateway. And you are the gateway opening it. This remembering this frequency. And as you say, you can feel it within me because I've had to embody it. This has to be restored at this time. And I had so much going on in my life. I mean, it was really one of the most challenging times in my life. And I actually hit a point where I just sort of said to them, guys, I need a break, time out, you know. I said, look, does it really matter if it's out in January or February? Just give me a couple of months. I just need to take some space.
And they're like, no.
It matters, you know. And now that we've all seen what March held, gosh, now I understand, of course. But I didn't know that back then. And they said to me, look, this is such high service and this is so needed on earth right now that if you can't do it or you're not willing to do it, we will have to take it to someone else. And it's the first time I've ever had that said to me. And they showed me what my path was and what was opening up. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. You know, whatever I have to do, I'll do it. And I feel we all have that. We all have like our ultimate highest service and our ultimate highest mission. And I think, you know, like we have all of these things in our little human perceptions of all the reasons why we can't do it or why we need more time or whatever it might be, you know. I'm not ready yet, 10 years from now, 5 years from now. For me, I was just asking for a month and a half, you know. and all I can say is that this is within us. Our highest service is within us. And so when we let go of that and we say yes and we do it, we re-embody all of it. And yeah, so for me, it was a really powerful experience. I really did have to embody these codes because that's what you're feeling when you say it's like, it's not just the words. This is an actual transmission and this is full of codes. So I often get feedback from people, especially section 1 and 2. So section 1 is our cosmic history. It's very deep remembering and it talks about, you know, kind of like our purpose and what we're doing right now. And then section 2 is about time and multidimensionality. And I get people saying, my gosh, I had to read that in sections. I had to sleep. I had to integrate. I was getting DNA upgrades and this and that, the other. And so it is a book that is full of codes. And also so many people say to me, I go back and I reread it. And each time I reread it, I receive more. And I would say that's even true for me. You know, I brought it through, but then when I proofread it, and because this is a channeled book, there was no editing. No. It was just, was, you know, this is cosmic truth. It was just about getting it onto the page. But you still have to do your proofread, you know, because I'm still typing. And when I did that, I thought I was going to be able to proofread this in 2 days. And it took me 9 days because even myself reading it, the energy and the codes were so strong that I was like, ooh, okay, I need to take a break now. I need to integrate that. I need to allow that to like settle into my body and my energetic form. Yeah.
So how can people watching get their hands on this book, my love? We need to tell them because it is, yes. I mean, we can obviously, we're going to continue talking, but I think that we're going to talk about other aspects of you and your work as well. But I just want to make sure that people know where they can get it from. Yeah,
definitely. So again, it was such an urgent call to get this out here. I want to say the line on the back, I don't know if you can see this up the top here, but this is what they said to me all along. It says, this deep cosmic remembering belongs to each of you. And this was told to me from the start when I first met the Rainbow Race and they said they were going to share all of this with me. They were very clear. This is not for you. This is not for you to sit on. This belongs to everyone, and you have to make that accessible for everyone. It has to be out there. And so when I looked into the process, you know, to try and get a publisher and everything, it's like a year plus, you know, process, because you have to submit and everything. So I have self-published this to get it out to you guys, like make it available so that this that belongs to all of us is available to everyone. So I have a website. It's www.Sia-Lanu Estrella.com. So this is how you spell my name. And then on there you'll find a tab that says the Rainbow Tablets, and you can order it through the website there. So,
and I'll pop all the links below in the comments,
yeah,
so you guys can just go straight there and click, and it will take you straight there as well.
And the other thing I guess I want to share with people is that this is, I mean, this is incredible, and this is like such a huge remembering and activation, but it's like the beginning of us embodying this, because we are transforming Earth. We are like restoring paradise within and restoring paradise externally. Yeah. So I've also set up a private group on Facebook called the Rainbow Tablets, Rainbow Frequency Stabilizers, where I'm sharing a lot of like the multidimensional activations that come through and channeled messages to really help with the embodiment of this, because we are doing this together, and we are here to help each other remember. I mean, this is such a beautiful co-creation. So it's really, and I get goosebumps when I talk about it. You know? The
Mine
Rainbow
haven't
Race,
stopped since we connected.
yeah, it's incredible. I mean, the Rainbow Race, I'll be honest, I'm quite an introvert, and this is not kind of the space I saw myself in. I just thought I'd do my little stuff on my mountain in Peru, run my retreats, run my mentorships, that sort of thing. And when this came through and they said to me, this belongs to everyone, they said, you need to be out there, you need to be visible, you need to be sharing. There's no more holding on to my gifts, and you know, it belongs to all. And so that's what this group is about. It's about bringing us together. It's such a beautiful sense of community, and it's such I think a really beautiful experience for so many people who maybe have been going through this awakening and this remembering, maybe a little bit in isolation, maybe they had a couple of people, or maybe they didn't have anyone, to suddenly realize that, oh my gosh, there's so many of us, and we're all embodying it, and we're all lifting each other. And when that frequency and energy comes together, it's bliss, and it's amazing. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. And then I also share on my own YouTube channel, you know, certain updates, transmissions, and everything. So yeah, I definitely encourage everyone to gift the book to themselves. I mean, it's like such a cheap thing to purchase, but it's such a huge, rich experience, and it's life-changing, because it's the remembering that we've been waiting for thousands and thousands of years.
It is, and we've got time on our hands to read it now. You know, that's the thing. We can, you know, and I think that I'm not sure many places are still sending out books at the moment. I think Amazon isn't putting out books other than ebooks, I think. But you have the ebook version too, don't you?
I actually can't do an ebook version, unfortunately, because I live in Peru. I had signed on for that as part of the deal, but it turns out that because I'm not living in the US and I'm living in Peru, I can't do that. But I actually feel that that's divinely guided.
But you want a physical book anyway, don't you?
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, I always felt that with this book. I've had people tell me they sleep with it under their pillow. Like, seriously, because people touch it and they cry. I've seen this happen with people, and yeah, I get these messages saying I'm sleeping with it under my pillow because it's so, you know, the energy is so strong. But also it's like, it's something that you go back to again and again. And like, this is, I got a fresh copy for us to talk about here. This is my copy. It's like all dog-eared, and it's got, you know, post-it notes all through it, and it's very, very loved. And I think that's the way it wants to be birthed and shared into the world. So I haven't resisted that. I had that, you know, that human moment of, I really wanted people to be able to get that electronically. And I'm like, no, this is guided. And so obviously there are delays with deliveries now. I encourage people to order it like today so that they can get it sooner. But that's why I've also got, you know, this private Facebook group and then my YouTube, so that people can already connect in with that energy while they're waiting for the book. Because like you say, this is a time where we've got more space and time on our hands than probably we've ever had before. So to gift that to ourselves is just like, it's so important and it's so beautiful right now.
Oh, thanks, Angel. I'm so pleased that you actually did put it down and say yes and put it down on paper. I know, just before we go, I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about your work, like your mentoring, your healing work and everything. I know that you usually run retreats when we're allowed outside. So tell us a little bit about how you work with people.
Yeah, you know, and it's constantly evolving. Because like I say, it's all about we work with what we've embodied and then we share from that. So as we embody more, we share more. So currently I work with people on one-to-one mentorships. I don't open, it's a very limited amount of spaces, and at the moment it is booked out. But if anyone wants to go on the waiting list for the next wave, they're more than welcome to do that. When I work one-on-one with people, it's, oh my gosh, it's so powerful and it's so incredible, because it's almost like they are creating that experience for themselves, like from their highest version, and I'm holding the space, you know. I felt very early on, I'm going to talk about in my 20s, like my early 20s. I'm late 30s now, so in my early 20s, I used to, you know, do psychic readings for people and stuff like that because people wanted that. And I saw that it wasn't very empowering for people. I saw that and the same when if I was just doing healings on people, I would see people coming back again. And I'm like, okay, something's not working about this, you know, because I'm not here to create dependency. I'm here to empower. I'm here to show each person that they are the master within, they are the healer within, they hold everything within. And, you know, even though we know that we hold everything within, sometimes we need someone to help us find that and help us uncover that. So I guess that's what my work is, you know. With the mentorships, it's people set an intention and, we really work with what comes up for them, and it's such a huge unfolding. The one thing that every single person says in their testimonial is that it was completely life-changing. It was transformational, like their life is completely different, and it's because it's embodied. And that's what I believe in. I believe in embodiment. It's not about just having a little beautiful moment and then going back to the old ways. It's embodied, you know, change. And so what I love to see with people when I finish the mentorships is like they are so in their power. They are so much more aware of their gifts. They've activated them. They know how to share it. And this can be in many different ways. You know, I do work with, yes, a lot of people doing healing work, but I also work with people who are like doctors or school teachers or marketing professionals. You know, whatever path we're walking, we all have so much to share, and it is needed in all aspects, you know. So it's about helping them to find their unique path, their unique gifts, to shed anything that's holding them back, and to empower themselves and to have the tools. You know, I share tools along the way as they're shared through me. And so they have this beautiful toolkit at the end that if they come up against these similar challenges, you know, moving on, that they know how to navigate their way through it. And the best part is that so many of them then go on to share it with others. So it's this rippling out. I'm always showing this ripple that we're helping each other. And, you know, with the retreats, I work a lot with, I've always been able to like talk to mountains, you know, you know, standard
We've
stuff.
got some similar stuff going on. It's so funny talking to you.
Yeah, totally. And you know, like activate. activate hidden sites and bring forth, I guess, hidden planes or hidden magic that a lot of people can't access. So that's what we do in the retreats. The retreats, all of my offerings, I work very multidimensionally. So before I ever announce anything, I have put that multidimensional container in place to call forth the exact right people and the right combination of people. And we see this. I mean, it is such a co-creation. It is star family. I mean, I've never seen, like my last Egypt retreat, it's hilarious. Within 6 months before we went into lockdown, so many people had caught up with each other in different countries all over the world. And I'm like, guys, I think we're breaking the record for the most like international catch-ups after a retreat. And it is such a sense of family, you know. And so people obviously individually get huge awakening and transformations. So many of them after both the Peru retreats and the Egypt retreats, they again say it was the transition point in their life. It was literally the turning point. And they go back and they are doing something completely different. They are in a whole level of service. They've said yes. You know, it all comes back to saying yes. But it's also that sense of community and family and lifting and sharing each other that is so beautiful and so humbling. Because I think a lot of us have grown up in societies where it's more about competition. You know, it's more about put someone down so you can elevate yourself, and we're all competing and all of that. And so really breaking that apart and just realizing that actually we're all here to lift each other, and there's no threat. Like if all of us are in our highest service, none of it detracts from anyone else. It actually just really augments it, you know.
We're all here to rise together, right? I mean, we can't leave anyone behind.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm feeling now, you know, obviously there's going to be more books. In this book, The Rainbow Tablets, as you know, it covers. Yeah, I'm really excited too. It covers a lot of topics. It kind of like covers the main areas, but each of those areas could be like basically a whole deep dive book in itself. So the book talks about our cosmic history, time and multidimensionality, embodiment and living from the heart. That's like my favorite chapter. Nurturing your energetic and physical bodies, ego death and unifying light and dark within, unifying the divine feminine and divine masculine, divine union, twin flames, counterparts and soul contracts, and sacred sexuality and its power. So the next book is actually going to be a deep dive on divine union and sacred sexuality. And this is, again, you know, I've been shown that my mission is to help people step into their highest paths, of course, and to do that through helping them remember the rainbow frequency, that divine love essence, but also to be in service with bringing, returning divine union to earth. And divine union is not just what we think in terms of being in a divine union partnership. It's divine union within. And that's what my big embodiment. So again, as soon as I finished the book, I went into the next level of embodiment, you know, leading up to bringing through the next book. So I've been in a deep journey of embodiment of divine union within to understand that. And I'm just so excited to be preparing to bring that through and to share that, because it's also like, when I read the book, it's like I get to read it for the first time as well, because when I channel, you know, those who channel know, you obviously you're very aware, but probably I only retain 30 or 40% of it, you know. So when I go back and read it, I'm like, wow, that's amazing, you know. So I read it like an actual reader.
And also, like, to look at you, like, now, I know we've been connected for a couple of years now, but you're absolutely shining, and it's like you've come through and it's so funny to be meeting now. I know we've both been put through our paces massively, but it's like you're just there going, wow. And I gotta say, guys, like, for anyone watching, this is the hope, right? This is, you know, you might be in it, you might be, and we're all, you know, it's a bit like this all the time, and the timelines are doing this, and I'm probably sound like I'm speaking another language now, but when you're in those really deep, dark places, come and watch this interview and just look at Sia-Lanu, because at the moment you're holding that such a high, beautiful frequency. It is literally like, you know, when you like run your finger around crystal bowl, it's that absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, totally. And you know, I feel it in myself, and I actually see it in my face. And this is what I want to say to people, like, just say yes and do it and back yourself, and because this is what's waiting for you, you know. Like, Alexandra knows my journey has not been easy, and the reason she knows is because she's been there for me through it. So it was maybe, I don't know, 3 years ago that I first reached out to you, right? And
So.
I think we've had 3 times in my life, like, I'm very multidimensional. I'm very good at self-healing, but like anyone, there are some times where I get stuck and I need someone, but I need someone who, you know, like, is really in their power. And you know, thank goodness I was guided to Alexandra, and I came to her for, I think, 3 times or maybe even 4 times over the last 3 years. And it was incredible. She helped me shift through things. And so this is why she knows.
Oh, honey, this is your interview.
No, but I'm serious, because this is what I mean by we're all like helping each other, because there are so many people, and you are definitely one of them, that I would not be shining and like, if I hadn't had that help at that time. And so
it's hard when you're a pioneer, isn't it? You really are a pioneer. And when you're bringing through something that is, you know, it hasn't been done before. We're at a point in our human history that we haven't been in before. And when you're holding that, and it's like being the spiritual Olympian, really, isn't it?
Exactly. And
no reference point.
People knowing that it's like, yeah, it's okay to reach out, because, you know, although we know, yes, I hold it all within and I am my own healer and everything, I think sometimes people can then get to that point of like, well, I've got to do this all myself. You know, I've got to do it all myself. And we don't. We are co-creating. We're family. We all came here together to lift each other. And so reaching out to the right people and asking for the guidance. If you don't have, you know, that network, just say, hey guys, struggling here. bring me the right person, bring me the right, whatever it might be, and it will come. And so I think that's so important to, like, you know, when we're going through that, we're like in the muck, you know, like we're in the muck and we're wading through that like swamp, and you know, knowing that we can reach out, knowing that we don't have to do it alone, and knowing that it's worth it. Don't ever give up, because this is what awaits us. And you know, I've still got so much more on my journey. I mean, it's just layers and layers, and I feel so excited, because I'm like, wow, if I'm already embodying this here, what's it going to be like a year or 2 years from now? It's like, whoa, you know. So
I can't wait to see what you do next, girlfriend. Seriously. And for those of you, for the viewers watching, what's your website? How can they get hold of you, honey?
Yeah, so it's www.Sia-Lanu Estrella. So it's spelled like this, but without the hyphen. So it's just all one word, SIALANU, and then Estrella.com.
I'll flash it up on the bottom as well.
Yeah, so perfect. Yeah. And also Facebook. Facebook is great. I've got a public page. I, like so many of us, I'm getting to the point where I'm a little bit close to my maximum friends, but I have got a public page, and I'm also on Instagram and YouTube. So again, as I've shared, I'm new to all of these platforms. I've had Facebook for a while, but I'm brand new to Instagram, brand new to YouTube.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad you're on YouTube. Welcome to the party. And
yes.
I'll share below as well, so everyone can find you. I'm very aware that you have a client in like 7 minutes or something. Even though I could talk to you forever, we'll have to do a part 2 at some point, honey. But
amazing.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and we need to have a catch up, just all of our own, girl, at some point.
Yes, definitely. And I just want to say one other thing as well. I could just on what you were saying about, like, you know, letting people know, like, when you're in it, like, just keep going and you know, watch this video. When I met you, right, and you did that first healing for me, I remember just thinking, oh my God, that's what I want to be like. I want to be so like aware of my gifts and able to use my gifts and everything. And it felt at that point so far away. It felt like I was like, oh my gosh, you know, that's like a 5-year dream or something. And we are in such an accelerated space now, you know? So I feel like I'm so embodied now. And I think that's what people feel from my frequency. But it happened so quickly. It happened so quickly. So please, to everyone who's on this journey, just know that, oh my gosh, it's so worth it. The transformation, we can move through something like that now, even if we've had it for years and years and years, and we've been, the same patterns and this and that, the other. Don't be hard on yourself. Be like super compassionate with yourself and loving and nurturing. And like I said, reach out where you need to and just say yes and just trust, because this is such a beautiful experience. We chose to be on earth during the greatest awakening, the greatest cosmic awakening in eons. And we put our hands up and said, yeah, I'll go down there. I'll forget it all and like, just give it a shot. Let's do it, you know? And what an incredible experience we've chosen. It just blows my mind. And what a blessing. What a blessing. So like, embrace the beauty in all of it. Yeah.
Perfect. I could never have said it better, honey. Bless you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And
thank you.
For all our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Sending you all so much love. And Sia-Lanu, I'm sending you a hug through the screen.
Returned. All right, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, gorgeous. Bye, everyone. I just don't know what my lighting is like. I'm wondering if it might be.
You look amazing. I love this lipstick on you. It's gorgeous.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's my trademark. Is it? Oh, there's orbs whizzing by me. Oh, hi, guys.
Wow, yay.